Judge Rebecca Chen has presided over hundreds of cases. Theft, assault, fraud. She's known for being fair but firm, compassionate but by the book. But on October 23, 2024, exactly 10 years after the worst night of her life, a case lands on her desk that makes her hands shake. People versus Marcus Webb. Charged with assault. Claiming self-defense. Maximum sentence, 8 years. Rebecca looks at the defendant's photo, studies his face, and something in her chest cracks open. Because 10 years ago, on a bridge in the rain, a stranger saved her life when she was ready to end it. She never got his name. Never saw his face clearly through her tears. Never had the chance to say thank you. But now, sitting in her courtroom, potentially guilty of a crime that could destroy him, is the man who gave her a second chance. And Rebecca has to decide, does she reveal what she knows? Does she recuse herself? Or does she do what he did for her, believe in someone when the world has given up on them? The manila folder felt heavier than it should. Rebecca Chen sat in her chambers, the afternoon light filtering through the blinds, casting stripes across the case file in front of her. Case number 2024, CR 1847. Another assault case. Another defendant claiming self-defense. Another set of conflicting witness statements. She should be used to this by now. 6 years on the bench. Hundreds of cases. Thousands of decisions that changed lives. But her hands were shaking. Because printed at the top of the police report was a date that made her chest tighten, October 23rd. 10 years ago. To the day. Rebecca took a slow breath and opened the file. Defendant, Marcus Alexander Webb. Age 38. Occupation, construction worker. No prior criminal record. Charges, assault in the second degree after a bar altercation that sent another man to the hospital with a broken jaw and 3 cracked ribs. The prosecution's story was simple. Webb started a fight. Lost his temper. Put a man in the hospital. 8 eyewitnesses. Clear-cut case. The defense's story was different. Webb was defending himself. The victim threw the first punch. Webb simply finished it. Self-defense. Not guilty. Rebecca studied the defendant's photo clipped to the inside of the folder. Dark hair, now touched with gray at the temples. Strong jaw. Tired eyes that had seen too much. A face worn by life but still kind underneath the exhaustion. And something in her memory stirred. Not a clear image. Not a recognizable face. Just a feeling. A voice. A hand reaching through the darkness. If you believe in second chances, in the power of one moment to change everything, then please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to Echoes of Courage and share this story. Because sometimes the universe brings 2 people together twice, once to save a life, and once to return the favor. Rebecca closed the file and pressed her fingers against her temples. October 23rd. She knew she should recuse herself. Knew she should hand this case to another judge. Because personal bias, even gratitude, had no place in a courtroom. But she couldn't stop her mind from traveling back. 10 years. To the night she decided to die. October 23, 2014. Aurora Bridge. Seattle, Washington. 11:47 p.m. The rain was freezing. Rebecca stood on the pedestrian walkway of the Aurora Bridge, her hands gripping the cold metal railing, staring down at the black water 180 feet below. She was 28 years old. A public defender drowning in student debt, burnout, and a caseload of clients she couldn't save no matter how hard she tried. That week, she'd lost her 5th case in a row. A kid, 17 years old, sentenced to adult prison because Rebecca couldn't prove he was coerced into the crime. She'd watched him cry as they led him away in handcuffs. Watched his mother collapse in the courtroom. And something inside Rebecca shattered. She couldn't do it anymore. Couldn't watch the system chew up people who didn't have money or power or luck. Couldn't live with the weight of all those faces she'd failed. So she climbed over the railing. Stood on the edge. And prepared to let go. The wind howled. The rain soaked through her coat. And Rebecca closed her eyes, ready to fall. Then a voice cut through the storm. "Hey! Don't!" Rebecca's eyes snapped open. A man stood 10 feet away, hands raised, palms open. He was drenched, his work jacket plastered to his frame, his face barely visible in the darkness. "I'm serious," he said, his voice steady but urgent. "Whatever you're thinking, don't." "You don't know what I'm thinking," Rebecca shot back, her voice breaking. "I know you're standing on the wrong side of that railing," the man replied. He took a slow step closer. "And I know that whatever brought you here, whatever pain you're carrying, it won't feel this heavy forever." "You don't know that," Rebecca whispered. "I do," the man said firmly. He took another step. "Because I've been where you are. Different bridge. Same desperation. And someone stopped me. Told me that giving up meant I'd never know if tomorrow could be better. So I'm telling you the same thing." Rebecca's grip on the railing tightened. What if tomorrow isn't better? What if it's just more of this? More failing. More losing. More. "Then you fight through it," the man interrupted. "You fight. You survive. You keep going. Because somewhere down the line, maybe a year from now, maybe 10, you'll have a moment where you realize you're glad you didn't jump. And that moment makes all the bad days worth it." Tears streamed down Rebecca's face, mixing with the rain. "I can't." "Yes, you can." The man was closer now, just 5 feet away. "I don't know your name. I don't know your story. But I know you're stronger than this moment. I know you deserve a chance to see who you become on the other side of this pain." Rebecca's legs trembled. "What if I don't deserve it?" The man extended his hand. "Everyone deserves a second chance. Everyone. Let me help you back over. Please." For a long moment, Rebecca stared at his outstretched hand. At this stranger who had stopped his own life to save hers. And slowly, so slowly, she reached out and took it. His grip was strong. Steady. Safe. He pulled her back over the railing, and the moment her feet touched solid ground, Rebecca collapsed. The man caught her, held her while she sobbed into his soaked jacket, and whispered over and over, "You're okay. You're safe. You're going to be okay." When Rebecca finally caught her breath, she looked up at him. "What's your name?" The man smiled faintly. "Does it matter? I want to thank you." "You don't have to," he said. "Just promise me you'll keep going. Promise me you'll give life one more chance." Rebecca nodded, tears still streaming. "I promise." The man squeezed her shoulder once, then stepped back. "Good. Now go home. Get warm. And tomorrow, try again." Before Rebecca could ask anything else, he was gone. Disappeared into the rain and darkness like a ghost. She never got his name. Never saw his face clearly enough to remember. Just a voice. A hand. A stranger who believed in her when she couldn't believe in herself. Before we continue, pause and comment below. Have you ever been saved by a stranger? Have you ever been that stranger for someone else? Share your story, we're listening. Rebecca kept her promise. She went home. She got help. She fought through the depression, through the burnout, through the guilt of all those clients she couldn't save. She stayed a public defender for 3 more years, winning more cases than she lost, learning that sometimes saving one person was enough. Eventually, she went back to school, got her judgeship. And for 10 years, she carried that stranger's words with her. Everyone deserves a second chance. Everyone. October 23, 2024. King County Courthouse. Present day. Rebecca sat in her chambers, the case file still open in front of her. Marcus Webb. The man who saved her life. The man now facing 8 years in prison. She should recuse herself. She knew that. But something stopped her. Because she'd read the case file 3 times now. Read the witness statements. Read the police report. Read Marcus's version of events. And she believed him. The victim, Derek Paulson, Had a history. 3 prior assault charges. 2 convictions. Known for starting fights in bars and playing the victim when things went wrong. The night of the incident, Marcus had been sitting alone, drinking a beer after a 14-hour construction shift. Paulson started harassing a young waitress. Marcus told him to stop. Paulson threw the first punch. Marcus fought back. And because he was bigger, stronger, and better trained, former Marine, he won. Decisively. Brutally. But not illegally. Self-defense. Clear as day. But the prosecutor didn't see it that way. The prosecutor saw a man with military combat training who should have known better. Who used excessive force. Who could have walked away. And if Rebecca followed the letter of the law, if she let the jury decide based purely on the evidence and the prosecutor's aggressive argument, Marcus Webb would likely be convicted. Because juries fear violence. They fear men who fight back too well. Marcus Webb would go to prison for defending himself. Just like Rebecca almost gave up on life because she couldn't defend her clients well enough. She picked up the phone. Called her clerk. Reschedule the Webb trial. I want to meet with both attorneys before we proceed. 3 days later. Courtroom 4B. Rebecca sat behind the bench, looking down at Marcus Webb for the first time in person. He sat at the defense table, his public defender beside him, his shoulders tense with the weight of a man who'd already lost too much. He didn't recognize her. Why would he? It had been 10 years. Different hair. Different clothes. Different life. And that night on the bridge, he'd never seen her clearly either. Just a desperate woman in the rain. But Rebecca recognized him. The moment he spoke during the preliminary hearing, the moment she heard his voice, every cell in her body remembered. The steady tone. The calm authority. The voice that had pulled her back from the edge. Everyone deserves a second chance. Everyone. The prosecutor presented his case. Aggressive. Confident. Painted Marcus as a dangerous man with a violent temper who could have walked away but chose violence instead. The defense attorney, young, overworked, barely keeping up, tried to argue self-defense. But she was outmatched, under-resourced, overwhelmed. Rebecca watched, listened, and made her decision. After 2 hours of arguments, she called for a recess. Summoned both attorneys to her chambers. I've reviewed this case extensively, Rebecca said, her voice measured. And I'm troubled by the prosecution's characterization of the defendant. The prosecutor stiffened. Your Honor, the evidence is clear. The evidence, Rebecca interrupted, shows that Mr. Paulson has a pattern of starting altercations and then claiming victimhood when he loses. The evidence shows that Mr. Webb was defending not only himself but also a young woman being harassed. The evidence shows that Mr. Webb used force proportionate to the threat he faced. She leaned forward. I'm dismissing the charges. Insufficient evidence for conviction. Self-defense is clear. Mr. Webb is free to go. The defense attorney's jaw dropped. The prosecutor sputtered protests about appeals and procedure and, my decision is final, Rebecca said firmly. This court will not punish a man for defending himself and others. Dismissed. After the hearing, Rebecca sat alone in her chambers, her hands still trembling slightly. She'd crossed a line. Used her authority in a way that could be questioned. But she didn't care. Because 10 years ago, a stranger gave her a second chance when the world told her she didn't deserve one. And today, she returned the favor. She was packing her briefcase when there was a knock on her door. Rebecca looked up. Marcus Webb stood in the doorway, his public defender gone, his face confused and grateful all at once. Your Honor, he said quietly. I don't understand. Why did you? Rebecca stood slowly. Mr. Webb, do you remember October 23, 2014? Marcus frowned. That's 10 years ago. Why? The Aurora Bridge, Rebecca continued, her voice soft. Around midnight. A woman on the wrong side of the railing. Marcus's face went pale. His eyes widened. That was you? Rebecca nodded. You saved my life that night. You didn't know my name. I didn't know yours. But you gave me a second chance when I didn't think I deserved one. Marcus's voice cracked. I never knew what happened to you. I always wondered. I became a judge, Rebecca said. Because of you. Because you showed me that everyone deserves someone who believes in them, even when they can't believe in themselves. Tears welled in Marcus's eyes. Your Honor, call me Rebecca, she said. And you don't have to thank me. I'm just returning what you gave me 10 years ago. A second chance. Marcus wiped his eyes. I lost everything this year. My job laid me off. My wife left. I was drinking too much. That night at the bar, I was in a dark place. And when that guy started harassing that waitress, something in me snapped. Not with anger, but with the need to stop someone from being hurt. The way you were hurt that night. Rebecca's chest tightened. You were protecting someone. I was trying to, Marcus said. The way someone once protected me when I needed it most. They stood in silence for a moment. Two strangers whose lives had intersected twice. Once to save. Once to be saved. If this story is touching your heart, please don't scroll past. Like, subscribe to Echoes of Courage, and share this with someone who needs to believe in second chances. What will you do now? Rebecca asked. Marcus exhaled slowly. I don't know. Find a new job. Try to rebuild. Keep going. Like you told me to that night. Rebecca smiled. I never told you that. You told me. Then we both told each other, Marcus said. And we both listened. Before he left, Marcus paused at the door. Rebecca, can I ask you something? Anything. That night on the bridge, when you were standing there, what made you take my hand? Rebecca thought for a long moment. You said everyone deserves a second chance. And I realized. I wanted to find out if you were right. And? Marcus asked. Rebecca looked around her chambers. At the law books. At the gavel. At the framed photo of her swearing-in ceremony. At the life she'd built from the ashes of that terrible night. You were right, she said. You were right. 10 years after a stranger saved her life on a bridge, Judge Rebecca Chen saved his in a courtroom. Not because she owed him. Not because of gratitude or guilt or cosmic debt. But because sometimes the universe gives us two chances. Once to receive mercy. And once to give it. And both times, we have to be brave enough to reach out our hand. Leave a comment below. If you could give one person a second chance, who would it be? And what's stopping you? Sometimes all it takes is reaching out. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to Echoes of Courage for more stories that prove one moment can change two lives forever.